Everybody has a character they're championing for MultiVersus, whether it's Godzilla, Ben 10, Daffy Duck, the Powerpuff Girls, or whatever other character they decided to campaign for. Well, I'm here to champion the underdogs, or at least characters I don't see mentioned nearly as often. That's why today I'm going to be making the case for Osmosis Jones, and before anybody asks, no, I do not see an issue with a microscopic character being around the same height as Batman or Finn. Olimar is canonically like 3 inches tall and he's in Smash. It doesn't matter. With that said, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, let me explain to you just why exactly Osmosis Jones deserves his shot at MultiVersus. For those who are unaware, Osmosis Jones is the main character from an animated movie that came out in 2001. He's a white blood cell who works as a cop to keep Bill Murray's body safe. Now I know this movie isn't super well reviewed, but most people would attribute that to there basically being 2 movies in one here. There's the live action half that focuses on Bill Murray being a terrible father and the most grotesque, awful man I've ever seen in a main character role. It's really just uncomfortable to watch. And the animated half, which really doesn't get enough screen time and is honestly cool as fuck. Seriously, these 2 halves of the film can't be more distinct from each other, and they even have different directors. I think it'd be pretty unfair to punish Osmosis Jones and not allow him into MultiVersus just because of Bill Murray's vomit, zits, and farts. Inside the animated half of the movie, we have one of the most unique protagonists of all time. His world is a human body, and as a white blood cell, it's his job to keep the body healthy. He's overconfident, and he just outright looks cool as hell. There's something about the blue character with a brown jacket and sunglasses that's so visually striking. I honestly think this is a home run of a character design. Power-wise, Osmosis Jones is essentially Gumby with a gun. He can stretch, change the shape of his body, go through tight spaces, and whatever else comes with being a Gumby. He can also shoot you with his gun. Oh yeah, and he has a walking ice tank of a partner in Drix. This leads to potentially one of the coolest movesets that could ever be in MultiVersus. Let's talk about that moveset in more detail, because I think there's a ton of possibilities here. I see Osmosis Jones as a support class. The current support characters are all fun and interesting, of course, but come on, they all look so nice and friendly, which yeah, that makes sense for the support class, but wouldn't it be nice to have a couple characters in that class that don't fit the bill? I mean, would one rude dude as a support really be all that bad? I think it'd just help him stand out. It's fitting too, since Osmosis Jones is a white blood cell. It's his job to keep people healthy. Maybe he could even introduce a new buff type. Let's say Osmosis Jones gets his gun as his neutral special and it has a cooldown, like Velma's speech bubbles and Bugs' pie. Every ally his bullets hit get 1 stack of healthy. At 5 stacks, his teammates get cleansed of all the debuffs and get 2 gray health for each debuff cleansed. This allows for some high skill expression, keeping your teammates always around 3 to 4 stacks of healthy so that you can cleanse them at any time would be the key here. I think characters that have minigames or jobs inside of their kit are usually a ton of fun, and it also synergizes really well with his gun. Diving a bit deeper on that gun, I think it'd be cool if it worked like Ana does in Overwatch. The bullets heal his team and they damage the enemy team. This, of course, is why they'd have a cooldown. Spamming heals would be pretty obnoxious. Maybe he could even have an ammo system where he only has so many bullets before he has to reload or go find ammo on the ground. I also think it'd be sick if he could summon Drix as his down special. There's already mechanics in the game for freezing and ice debuffs. Drix is the perfect man for the job of icing enemies down and freezing them. Down special brings out Drix, who kind of functions a bit like Watermelon Steven, but with a fire hose. Maybe he just goes back and forth in a small area so he can be used for stage control, essentially making Drix a turret that protects a portion of the stage and blasts people with his ice gun when they get too close. That'd certainly add utility to Osmosis Jones's kit as a support. Drix definitely should have a health bar, by the way, that enemies can deplete, as well as a lengthy cooldown before he can be deployed again once said health bar is depleted entirely. For additional freezing, Osmosis Jones does throw an ice grenade in the movie in one of the cooler moments. I think that'd be a perfect side special. While I don't think it should nuke the entire stage like it does in the movie, it would still be cool for it to add an area to the ground that freezes people like Velma's Up special. It would also combo really well with Drix. I think a cool animation for the grenade blowing up would be the nuke's effect from the movie, but just much smaller. I mean, these are microscopic characters in the movie after all. It could be pretty funny to see a miniature mushroom cloud on the field. Of course, this ability would also have a cooldown. As for his up special, I think this would be a great character to introduce tether grabs, other than that one Wonder Woman perk, to the game. In the movie, he stretches out and grabs a car he's in a chase with, so I was thinking his up special would be a grab that he could angle. Wouldn't it be cool if he could stretch his arms out and grab the stage? It'd be a great way to add more utility to his kit if Jones could just stay connected to the stage and then allow a path for his teammates to walk on to get back. Maybe he could press the button a second time to pull himself to the stage. So the first time you press the button, you stretch out, and the second time you pull yourself. So if you want to be that walkway for your teammate, or just make it harder for them to die from down below, you just press the button once, connect to the stage, and boom, you're an extra platform essentially. This may seem too good, but Osmosis Jones would be completely vulnerable while he's basically in this platform state, and he would be really easy to spike from up top. I hope these very high quality graphics that I have on screen help to display how I think the move should work. Oh, and he could do some sick combos with the up special too. Imagine you hit an ability with the first part of the grab, then press the button again to pull yourself into them like a slingshot. Maybe that could even be his best kill move since it would take skill to hit. But let's move on from special attacks to his normal attacks. I could see him having a standard up close jab combo, but decent range on everything else thanks to his stretch ability, so his up, side, and down attacks would have pretty solid range. Just please put his long headbutt that he uses in the Thrax fight into the game. I'd fucking lose it if I could just headbutt someone from long range. Maybe that could be a side attack that he can angle slightly. Just get it in there. Oh, and the animation where he goes thin to get through a crack would be a dope dodge animation. Overall, I think Jones would be a support with good projectiles that are limited with their cooldowns, utility, healing, and range. For his weakness, I think Ozzy should be the lightest character in the entire game. It makes sense given that he is a microscopic single-cell organism. So while he might seem to have one of the better kits in the game on paper, his moves have cooldowns, at least the really powerful ones. He has other moves that leave him extremely vulnerable, and he'll die earlier than most people in the game. That's about all the thoughts I have on his moveset though, and all of this is just from the movie. I haven't even begun to mention his TV show, Ozzy and Drix. But forget about the show for now, let's get back to talking about fun stuff. I've got some really cool ideas for his cosmetics. Just looking at his first movie, Jones has a decent selection for skins. You could give him cheaper skins that just give him sunglasses or remove his jacket, but Ozzy changes his shape pretty frequently during the movie. Buff Osmosis Jones would be a funny skin, and I would personally love his germ disguise. Maybe we could get his grandfather as a legendary skin. All we see is a picture of him, but we do know he was a cop like Jones, and being limited to a picture, it could give the development team some leeway and freedom with how they would want to animate him and make the moves look. His taunts are pretty easy. Have him flash his badge or just absolutely torque his ass. Both are canon and true to the character. You could also have him bring out Leah and kiss her for a taunt. Nothing hits harder mid-combat than reminding your opponent just how brutally single they are. Ringouts could be another fun way to bring in more characters from the movie. I'd love Thrax to be in the game. Having him slash with that amazing explosion effect from the movie would be a sick ringout. I just love Thrax, man. He's such a cool ass villain. I'm sure there's also a way to bring in the police chief for a ring out. He could just yell with police lights flashing behind him, for example. And while this doesn't exactly have to do with customization, I wanted to talk about his voice actor here. I mean, characters do have announcer packs, so it does work. Still, easily the biggest obstacle to Osmosis Jones is the fact that Chris Rock plays him in the movie. Truly a bummer because I don't see Chris Rock ever voicing Ozzy in MultiVersus. However, in the TV show, they recast Osmosis Jones. Not only did they recast him, but he sounds really good. His new voice actor was none other than Phil LaMarr, who is no stranger to voicing characters in video games or even fighting games. While Phil might be best known for his characters with deep voices and commanding presences, the dude does have range, and I'd love for him to be able to flex that range in MultiVersus. And ladies and gentlemen, that brings me to my closing statements. Look, I understand Osmosis Jones isn't the most popular guy out there, but people do care about him. If you go looking for clips for Osmosis Jones on YouTube, lots of them have millions of views, especially after 2020 for you know why. I've seen a lot of memes talking about how Ozzy would have cleaned house in 2020 if he was still around. He offers unique gameplay, but he's not going to eat up developer resources thanks to his similarity to a couple of the characters that are already in the game. His voice actor is more than willing to work on Warner Bros. Fighting games, but most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, we have the opportunity to do something special here. Think about which character reveal had the best reaction so far. It wasn't Batman, it wasn't Bugs Bunny, it was the freaking Iron Giant. And while some of the feedback were a bunch of nerds saying that Iron Giant wouldn't be in a video game and he wouldn't fight people and that's insulting to the character, most people are normal and they understand that Mario would also never dunk Luigi off the side of the stage and kill him, and that this is a video game. A lot of people were really excited for the Iron Giant. The people who grew up with that movie are now the perfect age to play and spend money on MultiVersus. I know this because I'm one of those people, and I'm stoked to finally have a chance to play as the Iron Giant in a video game like a lot of other people are. It's really cool. The same goes for Osmosis Jones. Any kid that grew up with the movie or the show would be hyped to see him show up in the game. Hell, when I sent this script to my friends to read over, they replied that they wanted to watch the movie now. And that's the opportunity we have for Mr. Jones. We could revive one of the most unique universes and one of the most unique characters in the Warner Brothers pantheon. And that is exactly why I would love to see this character show up in MultiVersus. With all of that said, thank you guys so much for watching. I love making videos on MultiVersus. It's just so much fun, and frankly, it's nice to be passionate about a video game again. It's been a hot minute since I could say that, man. Go ahead and subscribe for more MultiVersus content. I'm gonna keep it coming, and I'll smell you guys later.